And welcome Kelly and Sarah of Velocity Girl. Welcome to our little world.
Thank you.
You're off home tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
So you've done this European tour. It's been quite a long one. How do you feel about it?
I feel good.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We got to go a lot of places we'd never been before. Belgium, Germany, Holland.
Right.
And Ireland also. So it's been fun.
So I heard about, you are very well known for being extremely nice. All of your sort of press is like, they're such nice people. You got into a bit of trouble, didn't you, in Cork?
We had a row in Cork.
Yeah, we won the fight in Cork on a decision.
Right.
It was fine.
Right. So you're from Washington, D.C. Do you find that when you're over in Europe, and especially England, that it feels like your spiritual home, bearing in mind your influences of the sort of mid to late 80s indie scene?
Yeah, we're tremendously influenced by like Kraftwerk and Trio.
Right.
I think that really shows in our music.
Good, yeah. So Europe as well, the actual band Europe, it's got to be a big...
Oh yeah, Europe and Ace
Roxette.
of Base has recently, I think, really changed our focus as a band.
So is that going to have the influence on the next record that you guys do?
Oh yeah, it's going to be like a fake reggae pop kind of,
Right.
kind of thing.
So, Washington, D.C.'s got a bit of a name for the sort of hardcore stuff, which you were, was it you had the band that was a bit more industrial sounding before Velocity Girl? Or is this a convenient joke?
Well, it was just a project thing that existed
Right.
very shortly.
It's called Whirl. Is that what he's talking about?
No, Powder Burn.
Oh.
Right.
Whoops.
Brian was in a more noise-oriented band,
This is,
so
of
we
course-
can talk about it because he's not here right now.
Right. Blame it all on him.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
Was Velocity Girl a bit of a reaction against the stuff that's sort of big in Washington?
Not really. It's just what came naturally to us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have this idea that because bands like us, Tsunami and Unrest, weren't doing hardcore, that we were rebelling against it or something. We were interested in different music.
Right.
Although most of us in the band are interested in Fugazi and Scream and
Right.
all that stuff and listen to it. We just wanted to do something different.
Right.
There was never a competition or an animosity in
Right.
Washington about it.
Well, let's have a look at you doing what you do best. This is, actually, you can say the name of this album, because I have trouble with words of over 2 syllables. What is it?
Copacetic.
Right, and from Copacetic, this is Audrey's Eyes. Audrey's Eyes from Velocity Girl, still with us, Kelly and Sarah of the band. You had a hand in the label, running the label that put out your first records. Do you think that is still a viable way of getting stuff across? Do you think that's important for a band?
To a certain degree, yeah.
Right.
It gives you some experience into practical matters of putting out records, like knowing that they don't just magically appear, that somebody has to make them,
Right.
that they have to be mastered, that every piece of a record costs money, the covers and all that. So it gives you some practical experience. These days, with very few exceptions, I think to get wide public recognition, it's hard to do it yourself. Some people can.
Right.
Fugazi were a good example of
Right.
that. But for most bands, it's not practical because you're on the road all the
Pretty much
time.
the only example, I think.
Yeah, or maybe
Besides
some of the
Dio.
people at Touch and Go in the
Right.
United States.
Do you think it's still possible to do it, though, for new acts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
People still buy singles, so.
Yeah. So since then, you signed to Sub Pop.
Yeah, God.
Worst decision we ever made.
I don't know. We're trying to get out of the contract as hard as we can.
I can imagine, yeah. And that's quite an unusual signing, Velocity Girl, to that label.
Well, I think given the recent focus of the label, not necessarily because you look at Spinanes, Codeine, Hazel, and then in the past, Beat Happening and stuff like that.
Right.
Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yeah.
Just
Why
off
do
the
you
top
say
of my
that?
head, I don't know.
It seems to fit in with the new focus of the label.
Right.
They've always been into what is happening at the time, and when grunge, or as it was going on, they were on top of that. Now
Sure.
something else is going on, so they're on top of that.
So do you think what you're doing is going to create a whole new scene of its own? You're going to get lots of copies for Velocity Girl bands?
Since Sub Pop advanced us about $2 million, I think they
well, that's
want
gone up a
something
million
in
since the
return.
last time I read you said that. All right, so the second album came out earlier this year. And what's that called?
Simpatico.
Simpatico. Why do you have these unpronounceable names? Or is it just my stupid
They're all
knowledge of English?
4-syllable words, so
Okay.
that's
right.
our rule.
All right, so from Simpatico, this is Velocity Girl and I Can't Stop Smiling. Velocity Girl and I Can't Stop Smiling from Simpatico, your second album, yeah. So you don't look, in your videos, you're not afraid of making fools of yourselves, are you?
Yeah,
Well, that's a kind way of putting it. We had the idea for the longest time you'd watch a lot of videos where people would pretentiously try and make stern rock statements. It's a commercial for your songs.
Right.
Yeah.
We try
It's
and
a
have some fun at it because
promotional
it's pretty miserable doing them, but
I enjoy them, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a first. I
Prance
don't
around
hear
with
that
the
very
goof.
often.
Just like playing dress up, really.
Right.
So yeah, we just try and we might as well have a good time when we do it.
So, I mean, the live show as well is apparently pretty lively.
Yeah, our live shows, we've gotten some comments from people because live we play a lot louder.
Right.
We jump around, we occasionally break things. Because a live...
People in court.
Yeah. And we may never be able to go back.
We break people's heads and arms and things like that, usually.
But a live show is it's like a one-time experience. A record you have to craft to last however long it will last.
Right.
But a show has to, it's just that moment, so you've got
Do you find that easy to keep going? I mean, I was looking, thinking about what's happened with the sort of the grunge and the alternative scene, like since what happened with the Nirvana record, albeit a brilliant record, the thing that comes after that, I've started to notice the bands that use that as an influence, it all becomes very sort of shamefully dinosaur behaviour, you know, and everyone's now saying that they all had terrible problems with their parents, and it all strikes me as slightly boring, you know. Do you think that's like human nature, that when the band becomes really, really successful, then the bands get even more introverted and stop having fun?
I don't know. We haven't reached that point yet.
Yeah. It could be. I don't know.
That's just my opinion. Sorry.
I know what you're saying. It does seem like there's a lot of people who think the only kind of music you can make is, dire. I think there's a whole range of human emotions, and you should do it all in your music.
Right. Well, let's see you doing some more of yours. Thanks for coming in.
No problem.
And,
Thank
enjoy yourselves when you get home and all that stuff.
Oh, we certainly will.
This is Velocity Girl and Sorry Again. Thanks a lot.